Now that we have our composition ready to go, let's go look for our first relevant graphic. We're gonna go to freepik.com and search for teacher. Why are we searching for that? That's because the script says if you're a teacher and want to get into instructional design, I'm just looking for keywords related to that sentence, and I search for teacher. Let's change the resource type to vectors, because this video that we're going to make is going to be more 2D. Search. And already we have images and graphics that we can potentially use for our first scene. For example, we could technically just use the first one that shows up. This graphic is very related to teaching. So let's download it. You're going to get a zip file. Open a zip file and move it to your folder that has your After Effects directory. Mine is labeled assets. I'm going to move it over. It's this file here, and I'm going to rename it to something more relevant. So maybe teacher 1. Okay, so this EPS file is a vector file. Sometimes you might also get an AI file, which is an Illustrator file. Both of these files can be imported into After Effects. To learn how to edit vectors will be a huge bonus, which I'm thinking many of you already know how to do. But however, this course we're going to assume that you don't know how to edit vector files. And so we're just going to download the EPS. We're not going to edit the vector files. Let's go back to After Effects and import our file. There are two ways to import your file. You can just drag the file over, or you can use the import file method. So for this one, let's just drag it over. It'll be good to organize your folder structure in the project panel. That way it doesn't look too cluttered. So we could do that by creating a folder. Create a new folder. Let's call this maybe images. And then you could drag this over to the images folder. Let's drag our image to the composition. Again, you can drag it to the canvas here, or you can drag it to your timeline. Either way works. For example, let's drag it to the canvas. This way we can start scaling it in. You notice that you have these bounding boxes and it's way bigger than the scene. We can scale down this image by dragging the corner and holding shift. Okay. Let's move it to the center. And already your first scene in this image looks pretty good. Let's also drag in our voiceover. I went ahead and recorded the sample script to use as our audio narration. Download the file and let's import it to After Effects. I'm gonna import it right now. Import. Let's create another folder for audio and drag the voiceover to the audio folder. Let's also import the audio file into our timeline now. Okay, and one little trick that you can do to snap the layer to things. For example, if I wanted to snap it to the beginning of this timeline, you can drag it and then hold shift. So I'm holding shift and drag it. See how it snaps? You can do that to other layers, and you could also do it to the canvas. It snaps things to its related section. Let's preview the first 5 seconds. Again, we can use our work area to shorten the section that we preview. And then you can click the preview button in the preview panel, or the shortcut is here, number pad 0, or you could change it to something else. So I'm going to click the number pad 0. If you're a teacher and want to get into instructional design, there are 3 main actions. If you're a teacher and want to get... Alright, let's stretch it to 10 seconds. If you're a teacher and want to get into instructional design, there are 3 main actionable items that you can do right now. Okay, for now, we only want the graphics to appear for the first sentence. If you're a teacher and want to get into instructional design, there are 3 main actionable items that you can do right now. Alright, so it's somewhere around here. One way to know where to exactly stop in your audio narration is to look at the audio wavelength. To do that, you click on the audio file and then do the drop down menu, and go to waveform. And here you can see that, you zoom in a little bit, here you can see that it stops, there's a silence here. And so this is where we're going to transition out. So if you want, you can create a marker by clicking the star button on your keyboard, and it creates a marker. And here you can see more properties. You can also lower the audio level here by adjusting this number here. For example, if you change it to maybe -10, the audio level will be a little lower. Great, we got the first scene done. Let's preview this section. I'm going to shorten the work area. You can also do that by clicking N on the keyboard, the letter N, and it stops right there. And let's preview by clicking 0. If you're a teacher and want to get into instructional design, there are 3 main actionable items that you can do right now. Alright, let's add an entrance animation. So click on the teacher layer. Make sure it's highlighted. Go to Animation Composer. If you don't see Animation Composer, go to Window and then click Animation Composer. And let's add an entrance animation. So on your motion preset or starter presets, go to starter presets, transitions, 2D layer, and let's just find one here. Let's try the overshoot position and rotate. And let's have this show up from the bottom. So we have this clicked. Make sure your layer is clicked, and then we're going to click animate in. And it creates a marker for TR in, transition in. And let's preview this by clicking 0. If you're a teacher and want to get into instructional design, there are 3 main actionable items that you can do right now. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to scrub through because I saw something. Those little lines that I saw shouldn't be there, and it'll probably not be there when we actually create the video, but let's double check. Right now the resolution is set to half on the preview. Let's do it to full and then preview again. If you're a teacher and want to get into it. Alright, let me shorten the work area. Okay, great. We got our entrance animation. If you're a teacher and want to get into okay, I'm going to bring up the audio narration a little bit so that the audio narration starts a little earlier by clicking and dragging. If you're a teacher and want to get into instructional design. If you're a teacher and want to get into Alright, we just created our first scene. Now let's go into the second scene. Great, we created our entrance animation. Let's also create an exit animation so that the animation exits before the new elements come in. And let's create the same animation exiting. So we can click bottom, and then we can, before we click on the out button, notice how the layer extends all the way to the entire timeline. If you created the out animation right now, the animation will be somewhere towards the end, and we don't want that. We want the animation to end right here. So we want to shorten this layer. You can shorten this layer by dragging, zooming out, and then dragging the ends over, or you can create a shortcut, which is Alt and then the right bracket. So we've shortened it. Now let's add an exit animation. Go to Browse on the Animation Composer, and then let's push the Out button. Okay, and let's preview. First is, if you're a teacher and want to get into instructional design, there are 3 main actionable items that you can do right now. First is, if you're a teacher... Okay, great. The animation went in, animation exited out, and it animated out just in time. Now, on the next one, let's build scene 2.